So we just got back from Texas, and I wanted to do a little recap of everything that happened down there. There was records set. Most importantly is the one that we set, which is the H pattern stick car record, and we ran 7.005, so only 6/100ths away from getting that 6-second pass. The previous record was held by Red Demon Boost in Performance, who ran a 7:04 at, I can't remember the mile an hour. The car's here back in tip-top condition as well, so that's always good to come back from a race and not have anything broken. The one thing that we went down to Texas trying to do was not only to run 6s, but there was a bounty for IRS Supras. So any IRS Supra to run 6, the first one to run a 6, there was a bounty of, I think, like $7,000, something like that. And actually I threw in a little extra if that person set the bounty using one of my ultimate IRS subframes, that I would throw in another $1,500. Jack Caudo runs one of my IRS subframes, and we always pit together. We're good buddies, so we always pit next to each other. And he was trying to get that 6, and I think he probably would have been pretty close on the first pass, but he ended up blowing the torque converter out on his trans. So he didn't get that opportunity. He had to work on the car for the next, I think, 2 days. He worked on that to get it back in shape to run again. Him and his family are pretty amazing to be around. They all work together. They get the car fixed, got it back out to the track. The bounty had already been broken. Tony Phillips ran a 688, which is awesome. Congrats to him. So he got the bounty. And then later in the event, Jack went up to the line with everything fixed, new converter in there, and ended up running a 680. And broke the IRS record, so now Jack holds the IRS Supra record. And the really amazing thing is he did a 110 60 foot. So 110 60 foot on an IRS car is pretty damn impressive. So one of the cool things that I can say and kind of brag about is Jack is on that ultimate IRS rear subframe setup that I sell, and the ultimate anti-roll bar setup as well. So he's running that setup, pretty much the similar setup to the orange car here behind me. Pretty happy with those results. And one of the other cool things that happened there is J-Rod from Real Street. His car's Yoda, so it's the green Supra. He ran his personal best, and he's also running that setup as well. So pretty cool to see some Granis Racing products out there and doing well down at Texas. I went out there, and right off the trailer, with that new clutch, we ran a 705 at 207. Initially, when I was going to make that first pass, I was just hoping to get a good 60 foot just to see if we could get the car to slip out. I said, if it comes out good and clean, I'm just going to stay in it. So that 705 was really unexpected. It came out perfect pretty much. It was like a 117 60 foot. I mean, it could have been better, but for a guess on the settings, I was super happy. We came back into the pits, and we set it up a little bit looser to try to get a little bit more slip on the line and hopefully get a little bit better 60 foot. And on our second pass later that day, we ran the record pass, which was the 7.005 at 208. So we took the H pattern record on that pass. That was, again, I think another 117, I think it was 1174 60 foot. So it's a pretty good 60 foot. I mean, the car's done better 60 foots, 115. So there's room for improvement there. That pass on second gear, it lifted the tires in second gear and pushed me right. So it pushed me to the right. And basically, I almost went on the center line. Like I was pretty close. I remember it, and I steered it back straight, and I just stayed in it. And if it would have been, if it would have came out in second gear and not wheelied and sent me right and went straight, honestly, it probably would have been a 6-second pass. Just you can't really steer when the front wheels are in the air in second. So it pushes me wherever it wants to go. But luckily, I was able to keep the pass together and make that complete pass to get that record. On both those passes, we were using the slick tire. So it's a 28 10.5 W 15-inch slick. That's what we've run forever, pretty much. So I've run that slick on my white car. I've run it on this car, and pretty much any of the drag cars that I've run with, like the Supra stuff, I've always run that tire, which works really well. Now that we have this adjustable clutch in here, it's a little bit easier on the driveline. It's a lot easier on the driveline, I should say. So that allows you to kind of try some new options. So later in the event, we had some problems with these slicks. We pretty much figured that they were dead. Like they had probably 20 passes on them. So we ended up trying to find a new set of slicks. So we called around to a couple shops in the Houston area, and we found one shop that had them. So we drove over there, grabbed those slicks, got them mounted up, and we went out and started making passes on those new slicks, and the car was just spinning. It would spin right off the line, or spin like 20 feet out. It would spin, and we couldn't figure out what was going on. The previous tires were doing the same thing, so we thought, man, it's got to be the tires. So we put these new tires on, and they did the same thing. Well, it turns out the tires that we bought that were new at that shop actually had a 2018 date code. So they were manufactured in 2018. So they were sat for 2 years, and they seemed pretty dry. So we pretty much got a new set of slicks that were junk, and we were chasing our tail trying to figure things out. So the qualifying rounds were bunk. Like, I mean, I got like I think I ran a 8.0 or something like that in qualifying, because all it would do is spin. And when this car spins, it's hard to recover it and get a good pass out of it. So eliminations was pretty much the same thing. You know, we thought we had it set up to where it should be, run a number, and it just would spin. And Jason Miller's track prep was like on point, so we knew it wasn't the track. Like everything seemed great. So we basically decided to put a set of radials on the car. So I have these ET Bracket Pro radials that I took along with me because Chris Delgado has been pushing me. Chris is my tuner, and he does a lot of radial stuff. He's been pushing me to put the radial on, and I've been like kind of hesitant because I've always, I know how radials work on stick cars, on your typical stick car anyway. So like with a diaphragm clutch, you'll break anything and everything with a launch on a radial. But now with the adjustable clutch, it's a little bit different. So Chris has been trying to get me to go that way. And if you watch any of the videos of like TT Minion, which is the yellow Mustang that runs, mid to low sevens, he's running those radials and he's making it work. And if you've seen the Grubworm, which is the Tick Performance's Camaro, they also run that radial. So we decided, you know what do we got to lose? We're here in Texas. We want to try to get that 6. So we threw the radials on, and I asked Peter Block, the guy who organizes Texas 2K, I said, hey, can we make some like exhibition passes to try to get this 6? He was like, sure, come on up. So I was like, yes, this is great. So we're gonna get some test hits. So we went up there, first hit on those radials, again, ran another 7.05. So that was pretty impressive. And really one of the most impressive things about it is we ran it on a 1.2 160 foot.
shaking the fucking ground.
So if the car would have 60 footed, you know, the way it normally would, probably would have been a 6 pass on those radials the first ever shot. It's hard to speculate, but you know, I mean, going off the numbers and knowing what the car does and where it ends up, if it gets like, you know, a mid 160 foot, it usually is going to run a 4, 6, and 8th. And if we'd have done that, I mean, we'd have been right there. We'd have been like, you know, 6, 9 something. The third pass was actually pretty impressive. So the third pass on the radials, it lifted the front end up, and we weren't lined up perfectly square. So when I went, it pushed me towards the left, towards the wall. So I was in a wheelie and I was going towards the left. But the crazy thing is, even with letting out and being in a wheelie, it pulled a 113 60 foot. So that's our best 60 foot ever in the car. The potential with that kind of 60 foot and our mile an hour and the power we're making, I mean, we're going to be in the 6s for sure. It's just a matter of time. So we're excited to get over this whole coronavirus bump here and get back to where we can go racing again and put the radials back on there and try to get that 6 second pass.